is about just as bad. It's basically saying, hey,
Worse.
do you
He's
want Freddy Krueger to watch your children, or do you want Jason Voorhees to watch your
no, no, listen. DeSantis is worse because DeSantis is he does not have the braggadocious nature of Trump. All of this shit is straight malice. He does not like people being in his state. He does not want people being in his state. I would say that aren't Americans, but hell, he probably don't even want other Americans in his state. You know what I'm saying? So this dude is actually way more dangerous than Trump because other people are sitting over here like, obviously Donald Trump's a fucking dumbass. We watched him on Howard Stern how many times? We know what this dude is about. He loved pussy. He loved, throw his money around. And if you talk bad about him, about either one of them two, then you're not gonna get on his good side. He's fucking five. And if you like him, then you're great. And if you don't like him, you're evil. But DeSantis is a whole nother level of that shit because DeSantis ain't a freaking man child. DeSantis is a grown ass dude that think Donald Trump had good ideas. That's the problem. So he's even worse, bro. And like the worst of it is, chances are, chances are, he might fuck around and try to run in 24. And of course, Donald Trump was like, I'm gonna release embarrassing info. Nigga, do it. Do us all a favor. Take him down. Please. I wish you would. But there's also this matter about this article in the Constitution that says an insurrectionist, those involved in insurrection, can't hold public office, can't run for public office. So he need to be disqualified on that whole thing right there.
in 2022. What's a scandal that's gonna bring somebody down?
The standard of millimeters,
Really, like honestly, like
nine
I
of them mugs.
seen I think the president
Insurrectionists, those involved
say
in
grab my
insurrection, can't
pussy.
hold public
I
office,
think this
can't
president
run for public
basically
office.
say, hey, I want,
So he need to be
trying to steal an
disqualified on that
election,
whole thing right
and
there.
he could probably win. I don't know what scandal can register for in 2022 that could bring somebody. Herschel Walker might be a senator, and this nigga got scandal. So sure,
Uh,
release that shit. People gonna get charged up over that. Like, damn it, and like that's how they got with Trump. Got charged up. The more stuff came out, more his base got charged up, and then the nigga was president. So,
But you got to remember how much, like, just bullshit. It became impossible to refute all of the bullshit that came out of his mouth. And that actually was his greatest strength. Can you imagine somebody like Ron DeSantis? Pretty much what he would basically do is he would cook up a satanic Bible and he would be feeding that to people. A list of alternative facts.
excuse me.
And this is how America is running now.
Sorry.
That's the real concern. Because obviously these people are getting primed to believe in that bullshit.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad that the midterms turned out the way they are mostly because I don't want to hear about Trump again. I never want to hear his name again. Honestly, I'm tired of talking about him.
Man,
Unfortunately, he's still trying to be relevant. Until that shit is
man,
squashed, I'm gonna talk
I
my shit.
hate being a grown up because when I was a
Uh,
kid, the election shit would happen and then we'd move on. But now,
Yeah,
as
this
an
is the
adult,
thing.
I gotta pay attention to this shit. I gotta pay
Because
attention to everything.
it
And
matters.
People used to lose elections and then disappear and just go away forever.
Like what happened to Bob Dole?
That nigga, he went back to the Senate and never ran for president again. You
He
used to
shut the
take
fuck
your
up.
L and just go back to what you was doing
Show
before. You like,
did.
America didn't want me, but nope, Trump, he's still around. Sarah Palin, why is she like that
She's
bitch
a
got relevant? Why?
She was the
Uh,
reason McCain lost, man. She was the
yeah.
reason he lost. And honestly, I really think John McCain would have been okay, but not to the alternative. But him and himself, as far as a Republican, he couldn't have been no worse than Bush. Bush
Yeah.
one, not Bush two. He,
you
he could have
know
been no worse than Herbert Walker Bush.
I'm taking back one of the more common like white narratives. So like how like white people usually used to say like, oh yeah, I voted for Obama twice. Like that was a whole fucking thing, right? And so like I do remember being at CC and I do remember like the Black Student Union, a bunch of people just like protesting outside of like of GRCC's like gym because that's what John McCain was going to be at. And so I listened to him and I listened to but this is before I kind of like delved deep into this dude Obama. And so I was a big fan of the idea. Okay, take care of the vets. I was a big fan of some of the other stuff that was happening, and it made sense. Some of the shit that he was saying, some of the stuff that was happening. But here's where I guess I get a bad taste in my mouth, like hindsight, is the fact that John McCain was also one of those people that was pushing the agenda for affirmative action. And they was telling us that like, oh yeah, man, well you want to be hired, you don't want to be the minority hire. Who wants to be the token hire? And that was a whole thing. Even on George Lopez, the TV show, they had the episode where they was talking about being the minority hire. You don't, we got a black one, so we need a brown one for our company as well. And so they pushed this narrative to make it feel like affirmative action is this horrible thing. And I get it now that it was definitely the idea that was trying to push for something to be able to make change my vote, change my idealism of what it was. But I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I was on the McCain train for a while until I met this dude Obama, and he said that man, the one fucking trigger for every college student is I'm gonna help pay your college tuition, or I'm gonna pay off your student loans. I was like, oh shit, that's the line more with my interests. I'm not a vet yet. I'm not any of the
Directly with your interests.
line
Like,
directly with my
ooh,
interests, dog. And so, but that's what it felt. It felt like we were like the shit that I was hearing Obama at first wasn't aligning with the interests. So when I finally heard his shit, and it's like this change that we could believe in, and when he came to Van Andel and shit like that, that narrative fucking changed closer towards the election, and that made a lot of like younger people like jump on board. And then Obama did something better than McCain, and it was almost like we. And I don't think that we're gonna realize and take advantage of the idea of the importance of John McCain versus Obama election. And the reason being is because of the fact that that's our JFK versus Richard Nixon, because of the fact that they were using a new medium to be able to actually do the election, which is social media. That's when Twitter and Facebook was fucking popping, and Obama was using the shit out of that. When Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy was running for president, and they was fighting for the election, especially during the debate, the people who listened to Nixon on the radio, Nixon won, according to them in the debate. The people who watched the debate on TV, seeing how his personality was, how defensive Richard Nixon was, and say that John F. Kennedy won. Richard Nixon didn't want to wear makeup. John F. Kennedy was like, yeah. So Richard Nixon looked like he was sweating, and he looked like he was very tense up, and he looked like he was about to go provide some anarchy for people soon. And so I don't think that we ever going to take advantage of the idea until far later of the importance of that election, because McCain wasn't saying bad shit for a while. We just associated him with that fucking silly ass shit that Palin was saying, and then all the rest of these motherfucking Republicans saying. Palin was on some bullshit, bro. I'm anti-abortion. Your daughter is teenage pregnant. How the fuck? Like it's like shit like that, bro. So yeah, man. This election is wild. I'm listening to Cancel Court, bro, and they talking about fucking should we drop the Democratic Party, bro? I'm gonna send that fucking link to you, man. Cancel Court is so funny as hell, bro.
Pelosi just said she was stepping down, so I'm
Which she
happy
shall.
about that.
Which
I'm
she
like,
shall.
yes,
With
good
Nancy
for it.
Pelosi
Yeah, which
Yep,
she shall. She
said she's
should.
stepping down. She's
she was
fucking. She's
83.
like 90. Oh, she's fucking. These people, all of these people are too damn old to be doing this.
Oh,
Like,
too
hey, let
old.
someone younger with some more energy, with their original hits and
You
teeth,
need to put a Cory
step up and
Booker in
try and
there
do
for a
this.
brother.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
yeah.
Like, I mean, God bless you, Nancy Pelosi, and take care of your husband after he was nearly fucking assassinated. But like, dog, you 83. It's time. It's time to go
But
chill.
the question then should this be, and this is kind of like a basically a glorified. I say what I said then, is that like, do you feel like this is her stepping down because of the shit that happened with her husband? Because it seemed like that's probably the reason why that's happening. It doesn't seem like
Uh,
she's stepping
I,
down because she's not the leader
listen,
of the
since
house.
you want to do some I said what I said shit. If I would have known that Nancy Pelosi would step down if her husband got beat up, I would have jumped his ass. because
Damn.
America would have been much better off if we had somebody digging in their heels against all this crazy bullshit.
Fair.
And the problem with the Democratic Party is they're unwilling to call a spade a spade. They want to play politics and they want to be all genteel and they think that the other side is going to be the exact same or they don't give a fuck. One of the two.
Yeah.
And I could never freaking tell with Nancy Pelosi until I figured out she was getting rich with that insider trading tip.
Yeah.
The insider trading tip, I was like, I'm done with you. You're a rag. Get out.
Fair.
Because we need people who actually who care about the country and are going to be around to see the changes that they are affecting, not your old wrinkly ass.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that she's stepping out, and I hope we get somebody at least 40, 50 years younger going up in there and doing the job.
I don't think that's
Because
gonna happen,
this
man, because we barely had a Gen Zer just win just recently, man. That was kind of a big thing.
One. There's one
Gen Z.
person, 25.
that's the first.
Yeah.
There will be hundreds after him.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yes.
Because
Dog,
people
yeah.
are going to
Did y'all
keep
know?
living.
Fun fact: there's two senators in the White House. I think it's Robert Feinstein from California and Chuck Grassley from like Iowa or some shit. Did y'all know that the two oldest members of the Senate, they were born before the chocolate chip cookie was invented?
God
Like I was watching
damn,
Dan
bro.
Levitar show, and Mike Sure was just giving a bunch of facts of like they were before canned beer was a thing, before like radar was like so much shit was not on Earth.
Say
Like
this.
they're older than, and it's just like I honestly think term limits should exist, term and age limits, because it's like nah, you if you, once you hit 60, that's the typical age of retirement in America. You shouldn't be having that type of power at when you over 60. Like I'm against that. I know niggas like Bernie Sanders and shit, but it's like nah. Bernie old. Like Bernie is different. He be new, but he old as shit. I'm not trying to have keep voting for these 70, 80-year-old people. One of these motherfuckers slid down two stairs and they break their damn hip. Nah. You need like look, you once you 60, you done. Get some new people in there. Get somebody different. You know what?
I
65.
think it should
After that,
definitely be
we
a young
done.
person's game. Yes. But Jamel, so let me ask you a question. How do you feel somebody like Senator Grassley would do questioning, say, I don't know, Zuckerberg?
See, see, that wasn't the call for me not knowing what to say. That's just I'm very sick. Um, it depends on how he's come. Like if you understand social media, you can question Zuckerberg. For some of these old people, I think that's the one benefit, and I'll say this: the one benefit that some old people have is that they've got that wisdom of they can kind of sniff some scams coming, and I think they could point some of that out. It's weird though, but I don't. I'm just on that. You need to get younger people doing these things. Younger people who understand some of these modern issues, especially
I'm with
tech issues that are going on, like with
you. Yeah.
anything related to Zuckerberg or that South African who bought Twitter, like that. That we need some more youthful people on. If you are old, you can be like an advisor. You can be a mentor to some of these people, but you shouldn't be having no power. Come on, man. If you aren't going to be around like 30 years in the future to see the results of your actions, you shouldn't be in office. Like, I don't think you should be.
Yeah. I fucks with that, bro.
Like, I can't have you near 100 years old, you barely functioning. Like, dog, no. You retire, be a grandpa, live off some of that money that you've made over these years. Be done with that.
I I definitely
Where
agree with
where'd
you.
Jason go? Like, you disappeared for a second.
Oh no,
I know
man.
his
I'm
camera stuff for some reason.
no, I'm right here, man. So um I I definitely agree with you, man. I think that like there should be term limits. I think that like if we put a twist to it, so say like if the youngest you could be to be president is like 35, right? That's cool. That's understandable. I think that like if we did open it up to where financially, right, you don't have to be in this tax bracket to be able to be president in the first place. I think that definitely will open shit up a little bit more. So and I think that part of the problem also is the fact that we got rid of our watchdogs. We got rid of so many fucking watchdogs that was supposed to be in this room telling these stories if for like what's going on in the news. We got rid of the watchdogs. Now we have more people who are able to get away with corrupt shit, like Nancy Pelosi with the insider trading shit. So you don't have people who's doing their jobs that's supposed to be doing media. That's a big thing. But then also on top of that, I would say, and I will tailor what I'm not going to say that I'm changing what Jamel said. Tailor it. So, for example, if you're 60 years old and you win the election, you do your 8 years, that's cool. But by the time you're 70, homie, so say like in the case of Donald Trump, if he was 64, right, and he ran for president, and by the time that he got done with his term, he would have been 68, right? If you would have tried to go run again, you automatically disqualified because by the time you would have did your term, you would have been 70 something plus years old, right? So you should not qualify for this actual role. I definitely recommend that. 70 years old, bro, you should be at
And
home,
stuff though at that point,
huh?
because you got other companies, certain companies like tech companies, for in particular,
Yeah,
are are in trouble for being ageist. So they think that, oh, if you're old, you can't help us, as opposed to being like, hey, we'll just train you to do the job like you would anybody. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah, and that's a huge problem, man. I thoroughly agree with you. I would say that honestly, fuck, I done fucked that up. I need to get that get into the habit of
I
thinking.
think I gotta. I want to piggyback off something that you said about the watchdog thing. A big problem is that besides the idea of unionization, the other thing that's been like kind of demoralized like steadily in this country is the idea of media, because there's always that separation of the mainstream media and alternative media, and people wanting to kind of sow distrust on journalism and sow distrust on like facts. And I think that happened rapidly under Donald Trump with his goofy ass and the alternative facts and all the shit that he was coming up with. But it's something that's been going on for years, and I think people have that like that distrust eroded some of the power, and then like with changing times, newspapers and like print journalism also was a very important thing in the country. It's been eroded, and I think that without enough of those people doing it, there is still a lot of good journalists going on out there. It's just not it is not as powerful as it once was. And again, people have just gotten this a lot of distrust on media, with not believing anything that is said. I
Well,
think that's poisoned a lot of it too.
well, no. The problem is that honestly, first off, it changed how we got our fucking media. We get our news 9 times out of 10. Most people getting their news now from social media. They're not getting it from watching their local news because one of the common studies was that if you watch a local news, most people get depressed about their city that they live in because the biggest things that people, the news publications in your local area is public like showing is crime is the big one. That's what people sell the most. Crime and sports, that's what you're looking for. But the other problem is that we don't have no kind of going into like what you said, Jamel, is we don't have no clear definition of what is proper media. There's no reason why at this point in time, now that we have went through Trump, now that we're kind of going through Biden, there's no reason why journalism should not be a licensure job. You get what I'm saying? You should be held accountable, kind of like what a doctor is held accountable for. If going in to do surgery, honestly, I should be held accountable for what fucking shit I put down now. You got that Alex Jones situation. He got a whole defamation case on it. So now we gotta be held accountable for that shit. When somebody writes down the wrong information, they gotta redact that shit and put out a publication redacting that shit. And when companies. So, for example, if JT went to was arrested today for a notable crime, and then come to find out he was found now guilty, I wrote a paper on his crime that he got accused of, and if I did not write a paper redacting or basically saying that he was found innocent of that case, that's going to be a stain on that man's career and his life for the rest of his life because it's a notable publication put out that information. So that's what makes a person sit there and say fake news and fake publication, because of the fact that there's no accountability as well on the media part. And I'm a person who loves and I would support a journalist or a person who does this content creation aspect of it. But I do know that there's no accountability. So it makes it easy for a person to sit there and say that fake news shit. And you need watchdogs. You need full fucking real licensed watchdogs. And you need actual people who I would say in Jamel's case is the mentors. If if it's the right thing to do, full fucking Game of Thrones it, man. Not a vice president, have a fucking mentor. Just have a person to hand to the president.
Well, the thing is that what when you're talking about retractors and stuff, journalism, like as we knew it, there used to be shame that you could provide people. I remember, and want to try and wrap this up, and then we get into the show proper. But
Mm-hmm.
season 5 of The Wire, it was all about like focus on like media, different aspects of the media,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the journalists was out there fabricating stories. It was based on a real journalist in the New York Times who was found out to have been fabricating his stories. That ruined that man's career in real life. He was just out there lying, putting out false information. His career was ruined. I don't know if in 2022, if something like that happens, like say on the Fox with Fox News or with SNBC, if that really will ruin that person's career. Because again, we see stuff that is categorically incorrect that is broadcast on some of these news stations, and yet some of these people they're still able to keep rolling. Now you got an Alex Jones isn't the standard. Alex Jones is an outlier. He's not the person that's gonna always bless you. That gets in trouble. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's we got on this topic because we didn't talk about the election last week. I think we did a lot of we covered a lot of ground. But yeah, Nancy Pelosi, uh, rest easy, G. Take care of your husband, and hopefully somebody who again has their original teeth, hips, and their hair color gets that job instead. I think we can dive into the show.
You know she bald as a biscuit.
Oh man. Oh fuck.
Shout out to
Damn.
Auntie Maxine too, but it might be time for you to take a rest.
Oh god.
Auntie Maxine.
My man said that Nancy Pelosi so old to keep her actual face from actually falling apart when she smiles. She gotta get a BBL on her cheeks. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
Depends
I
under that
said
wig,
what I
dog.
said.
Did
I,
that shit backwards.
oh yeah, actually, yo, she got
You got
those
rocking
orangutan.
that shit.
Flip her head back like she got to do the joint like my man from Men in Black. Just pull her skin back every night and put her head
Damn, is it
back
that
in.
better?
Oh my god, that's mean. That lady husband almost got fucking hammered to death. We should.
That ain't got
Duh,
nothing to do with her ass being old.
yeah, she old man,
Ain't got
man.
nothing to do with being old, dog. We
She,
know she does not have brown hair. That's all I'm saying. That's a wig.
bruh, she's so old, she flapping around. And like Marlon Wayne said on Scary Movie 2, you gotta put her in a full Nelson.
All I'm
Put
saying
that shit
is that
together. Just
Look,
nah,
y'all,
we
I'll be
going to
right
hell
back.
for making fun of
I'll
this
be
old
right back.
lady.
That BP, all right?
All right.
So, Jamal, man, we had a hell of a week when it came to that. But also on top of that, this past week, we also had a couple of fucking brothers fall apart, and we didn't get to really talk about these dudes here. And I feel like we thoroughly need to say our piece when it comes to these dudes. And I'm gonna wait more to JT come back, but I'm gonna ask a question about one of your videos first before we do this. So,
Thanks for
for,
watching my channel. Subscribe to Eastside Reviews on YouTube and TikTok. Go
yes,
ahead and do that.
so one of your videos, you have guest characters. You mentioned the guest characters for Mortal Kombat. This is for my people who FGC style,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
give your list real fast, rundown of your list of your characters.
Ooh. All right. So my list in this order, it was Michael Myers, Ash Williams from Evil Dead, Deathstroke. It was shit. Damn. Those are the main three. Oh, Judge Dredd
Hmm.
was the fourth character, and damn number five.
I know you had the Carl Urban Judge Dredd, by the way, to be correct, not the
Yeah,
Sylvester Stallone,
Carl
the Carl
Urban
Urban.
Judge Dredd. Carl Urban Judge Dredd specifically. Shit, I can't recollect number five off the top of my head. Even though, damn, that's a shame. You can't remember shit that I
Can't even
posted
remember your own list.
2 days
That's
ago.
okay. That's okay.
God damn, I
So
need rest.
no, it's okay, man. So I'm gonna ask you a silly question. So there's been a rumor about because Ed Boon did mention that he wanted to possibly do a game where they have the guest characters, a horror game.
No, 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 no,
But
no, no, no.
but
This is bothering. This is now bothering me.
wait wait wait
I've got
wait.
YouTube up on my TV. I gotta know what that fifth character was. I'm
Well,
sorry.
let me run this down real fast. So Ed Boon did mention that he'd be interested in something like that. Not saying that he will do something like that. He would be interested in something a project like that. But the reason why I'm asking this question,
Oh shit. Okay, that's who the fifth one was. It was Kratos, specifically 2018 Kratos from God of War 2018, and then Ragnarok. That was
okay,
number five. That was gonna bother me.
fair enough. Okay. So my question for you is because one of the things has been not talked about as much is Mortal Kombat 12. People have been waiting for it. Last year, it was announced that Mortal Kombat would not be doing any more services on MK11, which honestly, it was almost like I would say a nail in the coffin for the actual game itself. The game interest died out. You've seen so many people for the FGC leave. So one of the rumors was that Warner Media Discovery is possibly holding back a lot of the new games being published. More specifically, the actual next Mortal Kombat game. Do you think that the next Mortal Kombat game is going to come out A before the next Mortal Kombat 2 movie or B is going to come out well after that?
It'll be before.
Why
I
not
think it's
tandem?
before.
Huh?
Oh,
Why not
that's a good point. I think it could be.
try to take
I
the
don't know. Go
hype
right
from
ahead,
the
Jay.
movie, sell games, and vice versa?
Well,
That's what I'm thinking. That's kind of where I'm thinking. Like maybe within a week of each other, because one, hey, this game is out. Hey, check out this new movie, and then you go see the movie. They could have adverts for the game, like as one of the previews or anything. So I think that's corporate synergy. I don't blame them for doing that. Honestly, like it like let some hype and anticipation build. Like maybe I don't know. Maybe they can do some innovations with how it is.
gotcha.
I think some franchises you can do just upgrades to the game. Like I think Street Fighter did that a long time for a long time with Street Fighter 5. I think you can. I think they can go this year with kind of building the hype and anticipation. Make sure everything is straight with like Warner Media and they got their fucking shit together, and then that's when you come out with the game because Gotham Knights is like from the reviews that I'm seeing, it's a
Oh,
disappointment,
it's
and I don't
trash.
want that. I don't want that for Mortal Kombat 12 or Injustice 2. Let that let it
Injustice
sleep for a
3.
while. Like, let
In,
it keep milling. That's not
Injustice
what I
3.
said.
But no, I don't think I think the unfortunate part about Gotham Knights is the fact that like Gotham Knights is about the sidekicks. It's not about the actual real Batman. So you're not going to sell a good game based off of Dick Grayson. You know, you're not going to sell a great game off of Batgirl. I mean, and we've seen that because Batgirl didn't even get to hit fucking HBO Max. They just got rid of that shit. So I can't see how they're gonna try to not fuck this up. That makes sense what I'm saying? And then also on top of that, the reason why I didn't say in tandem is because of the fact of my question gonna lead into after is because of the fact of with Mortal Kombat 12, you may have to introduce, especially after the movie, you may have to introduce Cole Young as a new character. Do you think that would be a thing that they would do? And I'm going to leave that question up for JT because did you see the movie Mortal Kombat? Okay, then shit,
I,
Jamel, let's go with.
I can't help you out there. I don't know what you're saying. You saying
let's keep
names, it
it.
means nothing to me.
I'm gonna keep it short and I'm gonna keep it sweet. Cole Young is a nothing burger of a character. He's the audience stand-in character. I didn't like Cole Young. I'm not the biggest fan of the NK movie that we got in 2021. I think the Scorpion shit was dope. The end fight with Scorpion versus Sub Zero, that was cool. Kano was dope, but there's a lot that I had problems with in that movie. So yeah, Cole Young, he'll be introduced because why not? He's new. Why not? Whatever.
Yeah.
Should have been Johnny Cage in the movie, but I digress. Yeah, he'll be like
No,
they'll
man.
add him
I think they.
to
I
some
think
people. Some
they.
people like Cole.
I think they made
Who
a
is
smart
Cole?
decision. Cole
Who is this
Young.
person?
So the way
He's
that,
a descendant of Scorpion.
yeah.
Like he's
Oh,
a
okay.
descendant of Scorpion. So he's
With a name like
Scorpion. Like
Cole
he,
Young, you can
yeah,
sounds like a
he's
dude.
not as
That's
cool.
all I got.
Thank you. He is a nigga who fights MMA. That's it. That's basically who he is. He gets a superpower up that makes him look like the bronze kneecap from Fairly Odd Parents. If you've ever seen Fairly Odd Parents and you've seen the bronze kneecap, you know what I'm talking about. Cole Young, 2 thumbs down.
fair enough.
Damn.
What's
I
our
think.
next subject history?
So the next I say what I said is this. And I
It's got
wanted
to be for JT because
this
JT's
one.
spoken so little so
Yes.
far.
So this is actually specifically for JT. First thing first. Like as I stated before, we lost two good black brothers last week. And I'm not talking about my man Offset. Um,
No, Takeoff from the
oh no,
Migos. He's the one.
take off, yeah, take off. Well, I'm not talking about take off. With that, we gained new life with this recent announcement of news. Baby number 12. I fuck with you. I ain't gonna do the Nick Cannon baby number 12 thing.
Nigga,
The real question is this. Um, Kanye West got lost his billionaire status because of his comments about going DEFCON 3 on Jews, and then he basically doubled down on a lot of the what would be considered anti-Semitic shit that he said. The last group that actually left was Adidas. How do you feel as a person after finding out that like this dude got dropped by a group who was founded by Nazis? That's my first question for you, JT. I feel like that's a better question for you.
Look, a lot of this goes back into the fact that you have to ask yourself, are Jews black or not?
Yeah.
That's the real question. You know what I'm saying? And like to ask who are the Jews is apparently an anti-Semitic remark. You know what I'm saying? Which is it seems kind of like that should be a question that you could ask and there should be an answer for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kanye, to your point, Kanye says some things that sound bad in a soundbite, but if you watch the extended clip, you get a little more context. So it take off the edge about 35-50%, somewhere in that ballpark. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
generous. That the 50% is generous.
It is. That's why I said 35 to 50 because I've seen him say some stuff and I'm like, oh well, this changes everything. Like obviously they kept this from us because it was less salacious with context added.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When you add the context of Adidas, how they were founded with Nazis, you already know they have zero room to fuck around with Jews because the parents' company, the people who incepted the company was down with the killings of millions. So however you slice that, I mean, it does sound like an irony, and it also sounds like Adidas was ready to cut ties with an unstable nigga just to steal his shoe and market it as their own.
That sounds
I
about
said what I
accurate.
said.
That sounds about accurate. Jamel. Now, Kyrie Irving got in trouble for sharing a link to a book called or a video as well. It's a book and a movie.
movie, a
But
3 hour plus documentary.
yeah,
Keep that in like out. Keep going.
that's usually the fucking lead for every time we talk about this. People talk about this. But
Fucking hours.
Hebrews to Negroes, documentary, and it had some context for anti-Semitic shit that was inside of it as well. And then they came out with uh, the 6 things that he has to do to get back into playing for the Brooklyn Nets. I'm gonna ask you this: what was your first initial like thought of the actual punishment itself? Um, the 6 punishments.
Be honest with you. So I'm. It's not. I don't think Kyrie Irving is anti-Semitic. I don't think anybody in the situation who looks at this thinks Kyrie Irving is anti-Semitic. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even think Kyrie Irving watched that damn documentary. That thing is 3 hours and change long. I'm telling you from my perspective, unless I see Batman, The Rock, Spider Man, all of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Misty Stone, Lisa Ann, and maybe the homie Mr. Marcus coming in there. Unless I see all of that in that movie, I'm not watching no 3 hour fucking documentary. Especially some random ass shit that somebody found on Amazon. But the punishment itself, I think it would have been fine if he just did it. If they gave him 5 game suspension, fined him a little money, and he made his little statement. But that's not what they wanted to do. And I'm not like advocating for Kyrie Irving. I think Kyrie Irving, since he's been separated from LeBron James, has had a just one weird ass issue after another one. The vaccine shit, him just randomly missing games. I think if you are a fan of the Brooklyn Nets, I've never met one in a while. I've met plenty of other sports fans, but I'm no Brooklyn Nets fans. It'd be annoying. Like he's annoying, and I think that they should have just waived him right at the beginning of this controversy, let him go on about his business, traded Kevin Durant to some other team, and start over. Because this fucking experiment that they have in Brooklyn is over. As for his punishment itself, it seems like they're not trying to. Some of this, in my opinion, it doesn't seem like they're wanting to actually like improve relations between blacks and Jews. I think it's more about making Kyrie Irving kind of bow down. And I think with how Kyrie Irving is, that was always going to be a hard sell. And would have again, I would have just let him wait. Apparently, he's been doing all the he's completed all the trials like he Hercules, and he's gonna return Sunday. But it's just gonna be something else, and then in like a couple months, it's gonna be something else. He's gonna miss time, and it's just like y'all could have just ended this, let everybody move on, and just keep playing back. But instead, they drug this shit out. They want to try and save this raggedy ass season that they have and this raggedy ass team that they haven't, and they can't move on. The movie itself, apparently, I again, I'm not watching that shit. The 3 hour point, but it's also from what I've heard from others, it's not just anti-Semitic stuff in it. It's anti-Islamic stuff and it's anti-East African stuff in within the documentary. And so it covers a range of groups from allegedly what's in the documentary. So it's just, dog, it's a lesson. You can't be sharing everything. This is a headache nobody needed. I ain't even gonna go too deep with it. This is just a headache nobody needed.
And before we keep
That's what
going, no, it's okay. Before we keep going, currently the Brooklyn Nets are 6-9. They're number 12, and tied in the league with the Chicago Bulls. They're number 12
sports
in the Eastern
perspective,
Conference.
the team is trash. They've done nothing. They've won a playoff series in the 3 years they've been together. Break the team up and everybody move on.
Yeah.
But nope, they want to keep Kyrie for the rest of this year because they think they're gonna get something for him. Like, oh, this is stupid. This is a
There's
stupid ass
there's
one. Stupid franchise.
there's about 5 teams that's worse than the Brooklyn Nets. That is the Orlando Magic, the Charlotte Hornets, the Detroit Pistons. Of course, they'd be at the bottom of the goddamn league. And the Lakers and the Rockets. Those are the 5 teams.
That's hilarious.
That's
The
yeah.
Lakers are
The Lakers at the
yeah.
second worst
The
team.
Lakers are bad just basketball wise. They're a train wreck basketball wise. But yeah, this is dumb. Let's go on to something else. Let's go on to something
Yeah,
next.
we'll go back to something else.
I'm exhausted.
So
To this movie, man. I honestly wasn't even planning on doing nothing else. Let's roll
oh
out
no
to
no
this
no,
movie.
Let's
it's
get
okay.
into the movie. I say let's get into the movie now.
All right. Um, that's a rundown of it. But all right, Jamel, let's go ahead and do this review of this movie. Um,
All
uh,
right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the movie review portion of the historical voices from the East Side. This week, myself and history, we are wearing appropriate attire. We are talking about and we are giving our review of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It is the follow up to 2018's Black Panther. That movie did numbers back in 2018. It was just a super success. It it would not be stopped. It kept going on, made $1 billion. It is like one of the two or three, like just up there with highest grossing movies of all time. It was wonderful for the culture. Whatever flaws that were in the movie, don't matter. The movie and the movement and the surrounding energy of the movie, a lot bigger than what your criticism is of the movie. It then took on a new life because sadly, before the filming of this movie began, Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther, T'Challa, he passed away. It turns out he had been battling cancer for a number of years and was kind of keeping it closely guarded. He passed away suddenly, and the world mourned this character. And this movie took on a new life and a new energy on its own. So the setting of this movie is, of course, we are in the aftermath of T'Challa's death. We are now seeing how Wakanda and a lot of the major individuals are dealing with it, from the Dora Milaje to the Queen Mother, Wakanda, his sister Shiri, especially, who is the primary focus of this movie, as well as the general world itself. We also have a new threat or a new power that has emerged, and that is Tolo Khan, aka the Atlanteans, and their king Namor, the Submariner from the comics, is making his MCU debut. First off, let's keep things positive. We're gonna change things up. JT, the voice. I want you to give me your thoughts on the positivity, the things that you most enjoyed, or the things that you most liked about this movie.
One of the things that is always best is the costuming. You know what I'm saying? Like what everybody was wearing. I never once looked at that movie and was like, "Oh, that don't seem right. I don't think they'd wear that there." You know what I'm saying? So like they really set the atmosphere every time that you're looking at somebody. I thought some of the ways that they just did technology, like the way that they opened the gate, and they had two dudes drumming in water and stuff, and I was like, "This is the stupidest lock everywhere." You mean to tell me that they keep colonizers out by having two people with rhythm? Holy crap, it's genius! I really like that. I thought
You got to
the
beat Brandon on key to tell him where to get to Wakanda. Just
I thought that the whole tackle whatever the underwater city was
Talakon,
fantastic.
Telecom.
Talakon.
Talakon, yeah, that's it. Talakan. But them folk down there at the bottom of the ocean, that was pretty cool. And I really enjoyed Namor. I thought he was the best part of the movie. And you know, they made. I think they could have done a little more, making kind of delving into what he was about, just a scotch, you know what I'm saying? Because when you live hundreds of years, it can be, you can kind of forget that humans are squishy, and they only got a good 60 to 80 in them, and then they tap out, you know what I'm saying? And he's had about 8, 9, 10 of them lifetimes, you know what I mean? And so it was really cool to see him come up, talk to people, and like, actually, like, hey, I'm telling you how this is gonna go. And it's like, well, why should we listen to? Oh yeah, by the way, there's a giant robot behind you that you didn't hear get put down. So you might wanna f around and listen. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was a pretty cool scene that Namor crashed in there. I really like how he fought too, and like just jumping in the sky and stuff. It was really cool to watch. So I think that Namor costumes, just some of the best that Marvel has given us yet.
History, on to you. What are your big positive spots about the movie?
um,
Then I'll go last after you.
So, and I'm hoping that this transition pretty well. But so yeah, that transition pretty fucking terrible. Um, so my biggest things was I fucking love.
Positive. Keep in mind history. Positive.
I'm no no I'm gonna keep it as positive as possible, as much as possible because I completely. The more and more that I talk about it, the more and more that I think about it, and I go into like the production of it, I fucking fall in love with the movie, man. The movie is so good. It is amazing, like knowing the history of a lot of the shit. I'm gonna go with my most obvious positive. And I was thinking about this the most is the fact of when they come up, they're fucking blue, and then when you go back down underwater, they still the normal like brown complexion. I thought that shit was ingenious. That was crazy to think about the idea that oh yeah, the only reason why they're blue is because of the fact that they lack the oxygen, right? And they go back down, and obviously, so it still stays true to the comic book, but then also still show brown people and representation, and that is fucking ingenious, man. Because especially dark brown people, man, you don't really get a lot of dark Mexicans being at the forefront of a lot of films, unless the stereotype like Machete, like fucking Danny Trejo or some shit like that. You don't really get a lot of those dark brown Mexican people or Latinx people that's actually at the forefront. Um, I also will say a positive that I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would disagree with, but I feel like it's a positive. I watched the character grow in this one, whereas I felt like me and JT kind of stated this multiple times. JT more of an advocate is the fact that there's really no fucking character development in the MCU, and this one felt like you had a little bit more character development for Shuri, as well as also Okoye, and as of the end of the new movie, Nakia a little bit. You've seen these different women just kind of grow. Now, Annika felt like a kind of a. I thought that she would be more available in this movie, but it didn't seem like she was as available. You kind of had a couple of scenes, and then boom, that's it. The movie ended. Um, but I felt like I got so much more character development, and I thought that Letty was going to fuck this up, and she did amazing, bro. She did slightly amazing in it. I gotta tell you, I gotta get one joke real fast though for you. Y'all notice that she took the synthetic heart shaped herb. Y'all didn't find that fucking ironic the whole time?
He wouldn't get vaccinated.
No,
You know
no,
what? I never thought about that. I never thought about the irony in that statement.
no.
I guess because she's like, well, I made that. Now trust me.
Bro, I just thought that that was the fucking most ironic shit ever. That she did not want to get fucking vaccinated, and she had to get take that synthetic ass shit. But yeah, man, that's kind of like my quick three. But I guess we'll talk more about it the more we talk go into the movie.
All right. So for me, I'm gonna go just really quickly with mine. Um, First, I think what you guys said. I think the stuff with Solo Khan was more. All of that stuff was really cool. I like the contrast that we have between Atlantis, Tolokan, what we got in this movie versus the Atlantis that we got in the Aquaman movie. I like both. I think both are cool, and I think both presentations of the character are very cool. And I like how different they are. I think if they did Tolokan or Atlantis like they did in Aquaman, all we would do is just be hearing comparisons between how the Atlanteans are and everything like that. But we really do got two unique views of the same basic idea, which is underwater advanced kingdom, and I really enjoyed that this movie. Namor, excellent portrayal. I think he was really good. One thing about Namor, and this is just back into the comics, I've never liked the wing feet. I never liked the little feathers on his feet. I've always thought that feathers were dumb. It's not the fault of the movie. It's just a character design that I'm like, not the biggest fan of it. But I can look past that. He's a great character. I think Angela Bassett was really good in this movie.
Oh
I
yeah, she
think
was amazing.
outside of
Oh,
Namor,
she was
she
trying to get
delivers
her best supporting. Now,
she delivers the strongest performance of this movie. That's her and Namor to me. I think you
easily.
feel the grief. You feel the grief. You feel the mother wanting to bring her child along. You feel her wanting to have that connection with, hey, this is how we mourn in culture. And then you have vaccine denier over there talking about mother that is not real. And it's such a nuanced performance from Angela Bassett. I really enjoyed it. How are we gonna go into spoilers? Because we, in
Oh
order
no,
to
man,
really
fuck
talk.
that. We're gonna spoil the shit out of it. And
Yeah.
this is
All
only
right,
part
so
one
yeah,
of it. This is part one
uh,
of it. I'm gonna have Jose, well, hopefully both Jose's on it tomorrow, for part
Jose and
two.
Jose.
Yeah, we got two
But yeah,
Jose's, and then we got
Angela
possibly another person coming in. But go ahead.
Angela Bassett was really good in this one. As usual, Poirier was excellent in the movie. Um, I love M'Baku. I think he has the single funniest line in the movie. Like him when they're meeting about Atlantis and Namor, funniest. He's just hilarious. And I love the fact that at the end of the
You know
movie,
that one?
Wait, repeat
at
that.
the end of the movie, when he's eating that carrot and just chewing, like that is some shit that a nigga would do. I'm like, you know what? I know so many dudes like that. And then at the end of the movie, he gets to be king. He was so good in this movie. I love him. I wish he had got a better shot in on Namor. Like that's not a flaw. You had to show that Namor was a problem. I wish M'Baku could have got at least a swing in, but he got his soul snatched a little bit, so I enjoyed that. But it can't be all peaches and herb. And I will say this, just one last quick positive. I think how they handled the Chadwick stuff, I think was done pretty well. I think they were in a no win situation with this movie. I think they were kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't. I think that the initial funeral that we saw in the movie and just that opening where we saw Shuri just panicking, trying to do whatever she could to save T'Challa. I thought that was really good. I thought that
Yeah,
was the best that Letitia Wright was in the movie. And then, of course, the very end. Like, if you weren't emotional throughout the movie, like just celebrating T'Challa, the end reveal that he now has a child, that him and Nakia have a child. I
that's a.
thought that was like,
I think
damn.
nobody could fucking think about that shit, dog. Nobody could
I
think about that
couldn't.
idea. Nobody could fucking come up with that
I
idea.
don't. I don't cry during movies. I don't get emotional like that. I'm like, damn, that nearly. I almost shed a thug tear for that one. Like that little reveal, just he had a baby and he got to meet his grandma. Oh my god. So yeah, I think the Chadwick and T'Challa stuff, I think work very well in this movie. But sadly, everything can't be peaches and herbs. So now it's
Well,
time to get into some stuff that we don't history. But
no.
hey,
JT was about to say something. That's I was trying to
I
get.
was gonna say, you know what didn't work? Trying to act like you can raise a kid outside of Wakanda. That shit did not go well in Black Panther 1. And why do we think it's gonna go well in Black Panther 2? Did we
at
not
the
learn our lesson from Killmonger? Put the
I
kid
mean,
in Wakanda. And he
the
also,
good
did you
news is
notice
that
that
the kid
nobody,
didn't see his dad murdered, his parent murdered, so that's kind of good to
yeah.
traumatize him.
I
And
also don't know
also,
how he died. I was
Wait,
getting
wait,
drank.
wait.
So,
I'm glad
he
you brought up Black Panther one. Who was Killmonger's mother? Like, what happened to her?
you know,
she
Questions for
man,
later. But
it's America. Women be popping out babies, be like, that ain't mine.
no, I thought they said his mom died and that they basically left with the dad on that one. I thought that was the whole premise of
That
it.
was so the legend goes.
Yeah,
all right,
but
but well,
well,
it's now time to history. Go right ahead, sir.
well, no, I was gonna say one positive that you just brought up, bro. Like, I don't think that like nobody could have fucking put that together, bro. The whole fucking time, nobody was fucking thinking about, oh, we're gonna have a fucking baby T'Challa at the end. Like that's like finding out Baby Yoda at the fucking end, bro. For a minute, you can't sit there and say like you didn't feel like, oh fuck, he really did have this baby with this person and had a part of life technically. So it was cool to see that we got T'Challa and not have to worry about him being recast. We got T'Challa. We got what people was asking for as a new T'Challa. But I guess the only part that was like the dilemma with that we'll go into later. I just think that was such a
Uh,
positive, and I didn't get to see that. But go ahead.
Now, history. Now, damn it, it's not your turn.
Gotcha.
I'm kidding, man. Now, of course, not everything can be peaches and herbs. It's time to get into some individual things that we think did not work within the movie. And so, as per usual, you know what? Since JT, I want JT to kind of his anticipation to build up with what he has to say. Since you went first for the positive, I want Jason to go. I want history to go first for the things that didn't work for him, the negative aspect of it.
You want
So,
me to go
so
first?
history, I want you to go first on the negative aspect of it. What didn't work for you in the movie?
The part that didn't work for me was Letitia being Black Panther itself. And it's I'm trying to watch how I'm saying it because of the fact that I don't want to be sound weird the way I'm going or misconstrued. I like the fact that we had Shuri as the character. I just felt like as the fucking ideal build. It just looked like I couldn't get over the fact that she was 100 times smaller than Namor. She was 100 times tinier than a lot of the people that was inside of the thing. So whereas you had Nakia standing next to her, and she looks like she's a normal fitted person, right? It looked like she probably could fight in the projects. You know, I don't think that she sold the warrior aspect of it for me. I think that that's the part that didn't work for me is the fact that she naturally didn't look like she fit the mold. I hate to say that it's because of the fact that she's too skinny because you do have the door that actually look a lot of them were skinny and they actually do look like they were kind of fit and they were actually warriors per se. But I think that when you looked at her when she was in the suit, she was just so skinny, bro. It just that part didn't sell it to me. I didn't see no growth in it. But I think that that's the smallest thing that didn't work for me. I don't think that that's the largest part. But I'm gonna let JT take the lead on this one, man. When it comes to that, what do you think, JT, was one of the things that didn't work for you, man?
A fucking synthetic heart-shaped herb. That
Oh,
is the dumbest shit I have ever seen. Hold on, let's talk about this. Let's break this shit down.
okay.
First and foremost, Angela Bassett, she, Mama Nim, she take she takes Shuri out, right? And she shows her, baby, this is how we mourn. We are going to sit here and we are going to commune with our ancestors and we are going to find peace in their presence. We are going to quiet ourselves and we are going to take time and meditate and go to a place where we can feel them inside of ourselves because T'Challa is with us always. They were interrupted by Namor. But notice that Shuri never once gets on that whole same bandwagon. That is the problem with this shit. So what she does is she takes the heart-shaped herb that was burned. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know why they didn't just friggin' take the seeds out when they gave it to T'Challa and be like, all right, let's just replant from here. But she goes and she makes a synthetic heart-shaped herb. And then she eats that shit and she gets transported to a different plane of existence because what she did was despicable. She did a vile act to create this herb. She went against nature to make this happen. And then if you're going to sit there and print a heart-shaped herb, why don't you have a grip of Black Panthers? Everybody gets one of these mugs. All them Atlanteans they tough people. You know what I'm saying? So, and guess what? All the people on that boat at the end, you all got Black Panther powers, baby. We printing this, we 3D printing Black Panther for everybody. But you want to sit there and make one and then be like, I'm the Black Panther now, look at me. That is the dumbest shit I have ever seen. The real problem with that, though, we get a little deeper with it. The problem is what they're doing is they're talking about synthetic is just as good as organic. Let me tell you, have you ever seen a mountain range on a desktop? Have you ever seen one, Jamel?
Yeah,
Have you ever been to a mountain range?
I'm not. I guarantee the real is much better.
A world of difference. And so what the message to me was, the synthetic reality we're handing to you is effectively the same thing as reality. Is the real thing. You don't need to go outside. We'll show you outside right here. It's just as good. Black Panther powers still work. I tell you what, it actually disgusted me when she synthesized the Black Panther, like the flower, and made that shit work. Because that goes against the whole idea of what it can do. Oh, you can look at the DNA, you can do all this other stuff, but you ain't God. There's a limit to your creativity. I don't give a damn what kind of medical shit that you got. How are you going to make something? How are you going to synthesize something and make it work the same way? It's just not a thing that happens. You're not going to do it. And so I really thought that it was some bullshit coming up. Oh, we just gonna make the Black Panther flower again. No, that's horseshit. Total utter horseshit. And what they do it is they are pushing people farther away from the ways of the ancestors, the ones that got results, the ones that are spiritually conscious. And so I don't know if Disney is showing us that this is what is happening, or Ryan Coogler is trying to put us on game and be like, this is what's happening. But at the end of the day, it is what's happening. People are being fed a synthetic reality, and they would rather spend more time in their synthetic reality looking at mountain ranges, climbing on mountain ranges in a game or whatever, than going out and actually doing it. That's the real problem I got with this film. And from there, it really kind of soured me a little bit because I thought Shuri was a terrible Black Panther. For somebody who is like the seventh smartest person in the world, she should know enough to know she need to hold up and grieve before she goes through this whole process. Namor is coming. She need to pass that shit off to somebody who ain't hurting that bad. Give it to the general. Give it to Okoye. You know what I'm saying? She would have been a great Black Panther. She should be Black Panther 2. I thought it was Black Panther 2 because there was going to be more than one when she started printing it. But no. She kept that shit all for herself. Walk right past the little two, the other two Black Panther costumes and go to get the Killmonger costume. And why did that shit fit? Because let me tell you, that mess looked like it was hanging on a hanger the whole time. So I don't know why Killmonger's costume fit her fine. It didn't make no sense. Anyway, that's my biggest problem with the film.
I,
They don't give a
Okay,
damn
let
about
me.
the ancestor.
All right, so I
so
also have some things that I didn't care. History, go right ahead.
no, I was gonna let you say what you say, man.
No, no, I didn't want to interrupt. Go right ahead.
Oh no,
You didn't
no, I
interrupt. You were the one talking.
you were the one talking. I didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
He didn't interrupt
Okay.
you.
So, excuse me. Um, I don't know how this is gonna play, but for me, Riri Williams. I ain't the biggest Ironheart fan in the comics. Her in the movie was like
He was playing
was
government.
just uh and I know as a person who's been doing videos on Power Rangers and how much I love the series, this is gonna sound weird and almost insulting, but
Bro, you know this episode called
her
Aisha.
outfits, her get-ups, the Ironheart suit, I was not a fan of it. Look,
It-
it really did look like some shit from Power Rangers. And I know again, I'm fully aware. I am a Power Rangers fan. I love the series. But skews the hell out of me for having bigger expectations of the Walt Disney Corporation, multi-billion-dollar Disney, multi-million-dollar film compared to Saturday morning Power Ranger fare. I'm sorry, it just didn't look like that. Didn't look good to me. And her performance, she was like she wasn't as annoying to me as America Chavez in Doctor Strange 2. She was okay. The one thing I'll give her is the scene that they had in their dorm where it was her, Okoye, and Shuri. I laughed at that a bit, but besides that, wasn't really a fan of hers. Um, Shuri as Black Panther, I'm not the biggest fan of. I think that it should have gone to Okoye. I think it should have been Okoye or it should have been Nakia. One, I buy them. I just buy them as being the hero of Wakanda more than I buy Shuri. Like Shuri's arc was kind of weird in this movie to me. Like again, the whole not just stubbornly not grieving thing was weird because it's like, dog, you probably should know that you should take time and grieve you lost your mother, your father, and your brother not that long apart from each other. Maybe take some time and grieve, but nah, she kept powering through, and she was. And I'm trying not to let the real life shit interfere with how I'm feeling about her character, but I'm not wasn't really the biggest fan of her. And yeah, those are pretty much my biggest complaints of the movie. It's long, but honestly, that's just me. All movies over 2 hours is just like, you pushing it. So
It was
that's just me.
long. It was long.
It was long.
But
Go.
yeah, but yeah, those are the main things. I think I kind of agree with what you guys are saying with your bigger points, but it's mostly Riri didn't work. I wanted to like Riri. I wanted her. She's a Black American kid experiencing Wakanda and all that. I'm just like kind of I wanted to fuck with him, but couldn't. I couldn't really do it.
I
Really felt like she was a human MacGuffin, and the only reason she was there is because Letitia was over there like, ooh, giving her goo goo eyes the whole time. You know what I'm saying? It-
I
she was a MacGuffin, a human MacGuffin, and not a good one either. Just like America Chavez, this is like the second movie in a row. Marvel has had this same misstep.
I
Stop giving me a powered person and then be like, oh, and they can't take care of themselves. Whack.
I don't know, man. I'm not disagreeing with Riri, man. I do feel like as far as all of the versions of superheroes we got that was on the protagonist side, she did feel like she was lightweight. Now, when it comes to her suit, I don't know if y'all ever seen Love, Death, and Robots, but she do look like the main narrator robot from Love, Death, and Robots in that. And I was like, oh man, this is Beta. This is that's what the fuck he is. Um, as far as the heart shaped herb,
Like dog, like like Marvel, y'all. Like,
you could do better.
talking to you. Like
You could do
I
better.
have like I'm sorry, I have expectations greater for Marvel as it compares to Power Rangers. To be quite honest, I've seen Power Ranger battleizer suits that look better than her costume. Real talk.
Yeah,
If you just Google search Ninja Storm battleizer, it looks way cooler than that shit that she was
yeah. As far as the synthetic herb, I felt like I I think because of the fact that I read into it with the comic book as well as also because I read into it with the history of it. I had the hardest time getting over the idea that Nakia is the love interest for T'Challa, because in the comic
like.
books,
Storm.
yeah, because obviously Storm was his love of his life, and with Nakia chases after T'Challa in the comic books, but ultimately she winds up being with Killmonger in the end. And so now we got Nakia in this one, and that's perfectly fine. I have the hardest time because of the fact that in the comic books, Killmonger creates a synthetic herb, and he does give it to people so they can become basically Black Panther superpower people. So I felt like that was what was the translation, and it should have been a hint that when she closed her eyes and when she went to the plains, that should have been almost given if you were the person that followed that's who she was going to run into, because that's who originally did that idea in the comic books. I think that's why I gave it a pass. But also in the comic book, she met Bass, and Bass told her a lot of the same stuff that Killmonger said, that she was not worthy, and that she's not willing to take the responsibility of being the leader of this world. You're not basically went into this you're not worthy aspect of it, and I think that's was the reason why it hit a little bit closer to home, because I felt like that was a closer moment to the comic books. But JT, I think what you said makes me think about this. Ryan Coogler is really good at making bread, but he's terrible at making sandwiches. And
Damn.
um, the most
You
interesting
got it.
part,
Okay, explain that metaphor. I
the
like I like the sound of it. Now let's get the explanation.
because the
You
positive shit
good at
that
making bread, but terrible at
He
making a
can look
sandwich.
at well, but it's the insides he got an issue with.
yeah, the insides I do have an
Okay.
issue with. So I like the fact that we got the funeral. I like we enjoyed the first act where we got to see Namor for the first time. We got to see them do their mourning process and everything like that. But then when you start to say like, oh shit, now we got to get introduced to Riri for MIT and shit like that, that kind of felt weak. And I'm not saying that I had a bright idea, but I felt like her character wasn't interesting because of the fact that she definitely came off as fangirl. I felt like I looked at Miss Marvel as a 19-year-old girl. And that should not be a 19-year-old girl's response. The shit that, especially for one who just walked up to a white boy and say, "You better run me my money." Like you can't have that response and then be basically like this helpless person, like what JT said. And for a person to make a vibranium design that could survive the pressure of the ocean, your original design is made out of bits and pieces that like really expose you to all of the elements. It just didn't make no sense for that part. But then I would say my dilemma with it is the politics for Namor with Shuri. I wish that they would have kept where they just fully just went to war. Namor was not a person, but you need that part to be able to explain the end. And this is why I say the bread. Namor wins. I don't know if anybody realizes this. Namor wins at the end. In the middle of the actual story, he does say that we need to be able to actually come together, be able to protect our resources together as one unit. And the whole reason why he went to war essentially is to be able to actually get Wakanda to defend them and hide the secret of them. What did Shuri promise at the very end? I'm going to protect you. We're going to make sure that we be defensive of our resources and nobody would know her secrets.
Couldn't have just done that shit when he went up to you, been like, "Look, we gonna take the girl. She gonna live here with us now."
Yeah.
Told her, "Look, I know you got a life, but it's either this or death. They won't go get you.
Yeah.
So what you want? Want to get killed by Kukulkan, Khan, some
yeah.
legendary mythical creature, or do you want to live in
Dog,
Wakanda?"
history. That analogy is dope.
Yeah.
Good at making bread, but not. I'm on that.
I love it.
That's
Love it.
really.
Give yourself a round of applause for that. Since we're on this, since we're kind of on this topic, and we've kind of maybe tiptoed around it. Real quick, what did y'all think of Killmonger's? Because I've got another point that I want to ask you guys about. What did y'all think of Killmonger's quick cameo?
The scene was cool.
Oh yeah,
But like how I didn't like how they went back to the scene and like finished the scene. I thought it was freaking stupid. Like, why didn't you just give me the whole shit to begin with? You know what I'm saying? So like, when Shuri was not willing to say who it was, I thought that was pure bitch assness on her part, because she was not willing to do the thing that she had set out to do, which is go fuck Namor up without regret. And she was not able to do that at the end of the movie. She had regrets about it. She didn't want to kill him. He was a cool dude. He gave her a bracelet or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I thought the scene with Killmonger was very dope. And like, I was not expecting him because I didn't know about the synthetic herb shit. And so I was not expecting him. When he popped up, I was very happy about it. I like Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger, but his scene ultimately I thought was like got the rug pulled out from under it because they had to go back and reference it at a later time, as opposed to just giving us the friggin' whole scene. I thought that was a poor choice on the editing part. He killed it.
I get what you're saying.
I agree with you.
What about you?
I agree with you. I like the scene for Killmonger. But I'm going to reference something that you kind of stated earlier. I think that that's the reason why I took it as two things. I felt like Shuri, when she came out from the astral plane, she was stronger. So automatically, you seen that scene where she kicked the suit, and she almost looked like she put that suit through the fucking wall. And then I thought about the same thing when T'Challa kicked his suit, and that motherfucker just floated and just went a little bit over, right? So automatically, I think that they were trying to basically emphasize that she was almost 100 times stronger than T'Challa. But then I think that the synthetic herb, and I'm hoping maybe this is what they're going for, because other than that, if they're not, then it's going to be stupid, like on your end. because then it's going to make me wonder what the conversation was between her and her mom. But I'm hoping that they lead it as it's a way for her to be able to tap into the actual astral planes automatically versus having to go and be buried or having to go and be put to sleep to actually do that. And I think that would make too much sense though for that story writing.
Yes, but I thought the whole point was the ancestors are gone, and you get Killmonger because he was the raggediest nigga to take the throne and take the herb.
Yeah,
His disrespect of the process cut him off from the ancestral plane.
yeah,
He popped up a new ancestral plane, a shitty ancestral plane, in the broken throne room. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like that was what I got from that.
yeah.
Because Killmonger didn't have the same respect that T'Challa took with him, even when he confronted T'Chaka and talked to him about his bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I can't get behind.
Well,
I don't think so.
well,
I don't
isn't
think she's
wouldn't
going back to ancestral playing. She ain't got no respect.
that's what I say too. I think that that's the reason
Is
why
a
it
young
was.
girl who supports that tradition. And, and
But
Baku said that in the first movie.
I want to say,
Supports that tradition.
yeah, I think that that's the reason why we got that because I think that we got Shirley, who is an atheist. So obviously, she's not going to meet the ancestors and then the same concept. So I felt like it was a callback to a lot of what Killmonger was. Killmonger was a purist to what what the Wakandans can do and be, but he is also ultimately like he scoffed at tradition the same way as Shirley did. Just one was more passive than the other person. So I think it just made sense that the person that she would meet is Killmonger. And also think about it when Killmonger got buried, he didn't go see any of the ancestors. He got to see his dad back in fucking Crenshaw, right? So I think that you kind of going back into like what Moon Knight was, you got the planes that you believed in. Your ancestors, well, not what your ancestors believe in, but what you believed in. And I think that that's what she got was the fact of she was going to nothingness. What Killmonger believed in, nothingness and broken idealism. So I think that that's the effect of the synthetic herb that we're seeing, not necessarily what she.
I want to just hop in though right quick and
Go
talk
ahead.
about a lot of people who they value intelligence over spirituality.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So like highly intelligent people are some of the hardest sells for something that they can't see and assess, with their physical utensils.
Agree.
And so the really I don't like Shuri being an atheist because she's smart enough to know that this shit matters. She's seen it happen so many times. She's mourned and grieved with these people. And for that shit to avoid her as the princess is a failing on her parents' part. Is a failing of her parents to show themselves in a vulnerable position with their beliefs, with their spirituality, with their connection to the past, to the ancestors, to those who watch over them, to those who they pray to. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I thought they gave atheism a hell of a pass in this movie, and I didn't care for that very. And
I'll
Killmonger
be
didn't
honest
call
with
her
you.
out. Hmm?
No, no, I was gonna say Shuri fought alongside Thor. The fucking Norse god. Nobody should be an atheist in the MCU because it's just like, well, Thor is an actual thing.
Real dog.
Okay.
Stupid.
Well,
It's
we gotta be
so
careful with that
stupid.
because they didn't list them as gods initially, and he didn't become a god of thunder until he came to Earth, and that's because of the Earthlings believe that they were gods instead of celestial beings.
I, I, bitch
In
ass this on
Thor
the first
1,
part and the writer's part, but
Yeah,
in,
to
in Thor 1,
Killmonger
they had
called Shuri
that.
out.
Right.
He called Shuri out a little bit, and he was like, "You didn't even think the ancestral plane was real."
yeah,
You know what I mean? And so, like, can you imagine to not believe, to not be a believer, to crush that heart-shaped herb, and to sip that shit, and actually come face to face with your dad and your brother and your mama, who have all passed on, and they come and they embrace you lovingly? That would change your life. But her lack of belief led her to go meet with Killmonger, and that led her to go choose violence instead of trying to do things diplomatically.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like it was, I just don't feel like Shuri King changed from her. She was so shook from seeing Killmonger. She was like, "Oh, who is there?" Eric couldn't even say it. Couldn't even say his name. Pitiful. I thought that was whack. But just to know that your lack of belief, maybe it was your fakery with the herb, is what actually kept you from going. I think it was the synthetic herb that kept her from going to the other plane. That's what I think it was. But to know that she didn't even think that shit was real and it still took her there, and she lost out on that spiritual connection that her mama tried to show her how to do, and then she had to go get that all the way. She had to wait till after the war was over, and after when she was finally on a beach by herself before she could get any peace, before she could get
Yeah.
before she could feel him. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I think it was almost lost on her. They threw that shit right in at the end. I didn't really feel like they was planning on having her change very much.
Well,
But I would really like to see her accept more of the spirituality because we are spirit, soul, and body.
so cool. I'm gonna ask you this then, Jamel.
Oh no, I had no.
Yeah,
Oh, go right ahead. Sorry.
because I
No,
was
go
gonna.
right ahead.
So I was gonna ask you. Let's flip it over onto the different side, which is you have Namor. One of the parts that I loved about Namor is the fact that his name came from Spanish like design, right? I love the fact that like we had an explanation why this Namor is definitely not the one that we see in the comic books. So Namor is a name that he took upon himself because of the fact of what they called him, which is a child without love, and so that's dope and that's amazing. But how do you think? Because you were gonna say that like she fought alongside Thor. How do you feel it should have affected, I guess, the Wakandan spirituality when you have a person who's named as the Kukulkan, Khan, which is, you mean, the their god that itself. How do you think that the Wakandans should have responded to that, or even face their own spirituality in that when faced with a person who's supposed to be a god?
Jamel?
How did Mbaku respond? Like Mbaku, he kind of got hit to it. He kind of got hit to what they were viewing him as. He saw that his people viewed him as a god. Now, whether he believed that Namor was a god or not didn't matter. His people believed that, and so I get your point earlier where you were talking about Thor didn't really become God of Thunder until he got to Earth, and then the belief with that the Earthlings gave him. But I think that so much of Wakanda is based on spirituality, and it's at the heart of what they're doing. Again, the whole skull fat tradition thing that M'Baku gave to Shuri in the first movie. I think it may not have affected them too much because I think there's some wisdom to believe that hey, there's other beliefs out there. I think again, M'Baku brought that. He wasn't stupid in the movie, and he recognized okay, this is a version of God for them. We have spirituality and culture along with this technology. Fury, because she turned away from it, she didn't have that belief. And so I think she would never have seen Namor as a god or anything. And so I don't it wouldn't have affected her spirituality, and I don't think it would have negatively impacted the other Wakanda spirituality as well.
Okay.
But since we've been on the topic, we've said Black Panther a lot, and I think you even said the words recasting T'Challa. I think, and this is just I can even say this is a stone cold fact. Capitalism is going to is going to drive Disney to create a new T'Challa. It's going to happen at some point. It's going to be a variant, and I posted this on Facebook. People need to get out their feelings already. It's going to happen. We are going to get someone new to be T'Challa, not T'Challa's son. It's going to be a brand new T'Challa and a brand new Black Panther. That being said, I think we can like look. It's going to happen. It's not going. Oh, but Disney, they're going to be emotional about it. Disney about making them greenbacks. They're not about your emotions. If they can make money off your emotions, they will. Who do you guys think would be a good choice to be the new version of T'Challa? And do you think that T'Challa should have been replaced or recast before this movie came out?
Um,
JT, I'm gonna start with you.
Who do I think should be recast as T'Challa?
Who could be a new T'Challa?
I heard somebody say dude from Snowfall. That could be
Damon
interesting.
Idris, that was your boy.
Yeah, yeah, it was okay. Okay, you were onto something there. I really there's a whole host of dudes that could do it. You know what I'm saying? The they just like the requirement is you just got to be black. You know what I'm saying? Dark, dark. You know what I'm saying?
You got to be the ideal of what a strong, dark black nigga would be.
Yeah,
For
I think
me,
when I think of
yeah,
that, I look for somebody with regality. You know, like some a Sidney Poitier type. You know, but not the acceptable black man type of type of Sidney Poitier that he used to portray. You know what I'm saying? Like I would be looking for somebody who was kind of looking to fuck some things up movie wise. You know what I mean? Uh, I think it would be fun to put like a goddamn Wesley Snipes or some shit in there, just to, just to throw it back and have
I
him be
will
old.
say this as a caveat. I'm thinking in the mindset of Marvel. They will probably want somebody younger so that they can at least get a good decade and a half worth of movies out of them. History, what about you? I think Wesley would be a good callback because John Singleton was supposed to direct the Black Panther movie in the 90s with Wesley Snipes as T'Challa. History, who do you think could be a good replacement for T'Challa?
if it wasn't for him being casted as Wonder Man just recently, it would have been Yaya as one of my.
Nigga, you took my pick. That was who.
If it
Yahya Abdul Mateen the
as
second.
a yeah, that is my New Orleans homie. As he's been born. I would say that, but before he was even at Marvel, he was at DC and he was Black Mantis. And so even during that time, I was thinking Elon Noel. I don't know if y'all know that he's the guy who played he played in First
He's
Purge. He
an
played Daniel King,
insecure.
Insecure
Yeah.
as Daniel King. I think that he'll be a great person to represent Regal, but then also still be able to actually kind of keep to a traditional mindset, especially being a person who's kept able to be calm and then also be vicious as well. And you've seen a lot of that in the first Purge. Um, I think that this was I don't know, man. You know, the sad thing is when the movie ended and I was looking up if there was post credit scenes. I think I seen the movie too close to when the information came out. But I seen that there was post credit scenes, but all it said was that it was a tribute to Chadwick Boseman. My son had to go to the restroom. I walked to the restroom with my son, and we were just done with the movie. But then come to find out, they exposed this situation with T'Challa Jr. I know that that
T'Challa Jr.
T'Challa Jr.
That's just the funny idea.
Yeah,
Just hey, T'Challa Jr.
I think
Not T'Challa the second, T'Challa Jr.
T'Challa Jr. Um, the part that I'm bummed about is that it's not Azira, which is Storm and T'Challa's original son. But with that, I think that that's where they're gonna make their money, Jamel. I think that that's where they're gonna double down and make their money. They're gonna have a young Black Panther, and he's gonna have these people to look up to, which will be even more fucked up if Uncle Umbaku started to fucking adopt T'Challa and become fucking Homelander with this little boy. It would be a new
Thing
thing.
though, Umbaku, from what we've seen in this, like he would be a good mentor uncle type because
No,
he's the one who kind of talks some sense into Shuri.
no, that nigga played the game. That's what that dude did. We gotta stop. Bruh. I'm hoping that they don't make him a protagonist any longer. M'Baku was a fucking ruthless fucking warmonger. That was his thing. He wanted power. He wanted the throne. That's why we see him the second time taking the fucking throne. We need to give M'Baku the respect that and the due diligence that he deserves. We wanted great antagonists. We got fucking Thanos, and we thought he was so mind blowing. We thought we got Killmonger. He was so mind blowing. Why can't we have a well articulate black or brown man that doesn't have to be this facing any kind of way be a actual good antagonist. I like goofy Umbaku, but that nigga was about taking the throne. Let's
He
not
was
make him
about
a
that smoke
huh?
for real. He was willing to whoop whoever's ass to get to it.
Yeah. We need to give that man his fucking flowers as an
Like
antagonist.
I think they did. They really didn't do the whole man ape thing justice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, you can't really call a black dude in a movie in 2022 mad ape.
But that's what they
That
were.
might not be the best. That's what he was in the comics. Again, I'm thinking how the corporations think.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna protest. People are gonna get mad at them. And it's just like, nah, we're just gonna call them.
You know,
We ain't gonna bother with that.
this will be the
what,
one
what,
time I say fuck him. I would say fuck him. I would say this will be the
yeah,
one time I say fuck him because that's what he was. That's what his tribe was. That's what his. You
right.
can't you can't get mad at a person who's Catholic and you be like you cynical Christian. You
He's strong as shit too.
yeah. He's fucking strong. He was meant to
You
be
don't want to
powerful.
mess with that.
He comes in with a fucking ape mask on, and that's the one part I would say that is really good. And going back into the bread part is the fact that I love the fact that knowing Ryan Coogler took in all the information from people, especially from the indigenous tribes and shit like that. And like now we got Bombay. Now we got First Side. You got Toto Khan. All those things did not come from Ryan Coogler. That came from the people who are part of those cultures. Winston Duke is the one that helped with the language. Lapita helped with the language as well. Lapita speaks thorough Spanish because she was born in Mexico. So realistically, like I say fuck him when it comes to the idea. Make him Umbaku the Mane.
All right. So before we get to our ratings, I will just throw in my little pick for T'Challa. Yaya was one. Aldrich Hodges
Mm-hmm.
is also another one. If you're familiar with his work, most recently he was Hawkman
Mm-hmm.
in Black Adam, and actually he did a good job. He was the principal in the movie, and he had to be the stick in the mud. I thought he did a good job, and his whole vibe in the movie itself was I'm black nigga in charge, and I think he got that look. He also played Jim Brown in the movie, so I think yeah, that's a good qualification. But it's now time for us to each give our own ratings. And if you're not familiar with the ratings for historical voices on the East Side, here we go. A movie that we feel has few flaws. That's a good time. Talk about them. We really can't nitpick it apart. We call that a winner. That's basically 5 out of 5. For a movie that has some flaws, but is still really good and still a pretty well crafted movie, that's a 4 out of 5. We call them edges. For movies that are middle of the road, need improvement, that aren't necessarily good, necessarily bad, but can go either way, those are slumpers. For movies that are just outright bad and need a lot of work, need a lot of cosmetic surgery, need a BBL, facelift, everything, those are a dumpster. And a movie that's just irredeemable, that makes you just nod off, go to sleep, and it's just plain bad, that is a 1 out of 5. That's a sleeper.
Okay.
So, history for you. What do you give Black Panther Wakanda Forever as your rating?
Um, I gotta go against the masses, even though I had so many things that I gotta say that like, um, the culture part, bro. This is what won me, man, and I really feel like this movie meant more for people who are females and people who were Latinx, and I still think that it means a lot for people. I think that this movie was a life lesson for Black and Brown people, just in general. So I would say that I would give this a edger. I'm not saying that it's a outright winner. I don't think that it was a perfect movie, but I think that like honestly, it did a lot of the work of relying on the comic material in some ways. Um, I have an opinion about Ryan Coogler that I think that I'm going to stick to after watching this movie. I don't think that Ryan Coogler knows how to write a movie without having to use ideas of somebody else. There was Riri Ironheart. A lot of her story was reflected off of Tony Stark. If you look at the actual fight scenes at the end, even though I felt like these fights were a lot more high stakes versus the one in Black Panther itself, um, I seen so many like flashbacks of the original Black Panther movie itself. So I can't sit there and say I hate this movie when I can only see nothing but the other movie in this one. And so, and it's not even me comparing it. It's so fucking like blatantly there. Like even when Ramonda comes in, it's essentially the same fucking scene from when T'Challa comes in. So they were kind of blatant about like, hey, we recycled a lot of shit. So um I'm gonna say it's an edger because of the fact that I'm surprised at a lot of people who did well and how much fucking culture was put inside of this movie. You could definitely see that, like, even though they recycled this, they made spaghetti all over again, even though it was originally supposed to be lasagna. Um, I could still tell that it was made with love. So I'm definitely gonna say it was an edger.
All right, JT. What about you? What are your thoughts? Your rating?
I keep it real with you. I thought 50% of the movie was a slumper. 35% was an edger, and 15% was a winner. We average all that out. We're gonna call it an edger. 4 out of 5 star. Like a couple things, like you talk about, Doug. I looked up the Power Rangers costume way harder than whatever the frick she was that Ironheart was wearing at the end. Man, Riri was. I just ooh, I was not on board with her. I thought she was the worst part of the film,
Bro,
and
she
that's not really to the acting. I thought the actress was fine. It was just boring watching her. Like I didn't care about her. I was like, yeah, let Namor off her. We'll be good. Everything everything's safe. But like the scene where they fought the Atlanteans, and they had a whole top of the boat full of people, and then they get down to 10 folks, and that's now Wakanda's army is a dozen motherfuckers. Yeah, those kind of things, those little things just didn't do it for me. They didn't do it. So I don't think it's perfect. Obviously, the parts with Chadwick Boseman, absolutely outstanding. Chills. All of the tributes that they gave to him and the way that they handled the situation was cool. But I think that the world building fell short. T'Challa should have been on people's lips. You know what I'm saying? That should have been a common word that you hear throughout the film. What would T'Challa do? Well, I'll just think, what would my brother do? You know what I'm saying? I know I'm smarter than him, but he is courageous, and I want to be like him. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't get none of that shit. And so there's just a lot of things and I really think it might be a Ryan Coogler issue because he probably got to listen to them execs a little too much. He make a couple movies, be like, look, bitches, I done made you $2 billion films. You can shut up and let me make a black movie now. I'm still kind of waiting for that. But love the mesh of the cultures, and I think that's what kept it strong. So, Edger.
All right. So for me, I'm on the same vibes as y'all are. I think if it weren't for the Chadwick stuff, this movie would firmly be a slumper, in my opinion. I think there is a lot of good in the movie. I think again, the culture stuff. That's Angela Bassett. I mean, we not enough can be said about how good she was, but
oh
I
man, she
think
was amazing,
the
dog.
story itself
As usual.
it's kind of a weak story. I'm not the biggest fan of what they did with Shuri. I don't care about Riri, and it's just again, it's just the story is not. It's not for me. It doesn't work that well. But the Chadwick stuff, it's what bumps it up to an edger for me. And I do think in kind of a larger context, as I was saying when I was introducing and getting us set up, the first Black Panther movie, the flaws of the movie kind of go by the wayside because of how big of a cultural impact that movie had. Like that movie, by no means is perfect. There's some stuff that does not work in that movie, in my opinion, but it's almost irrelevant. The number for what it did for the culture, for what it did for people, for we don't know how many young black kids got are now hooked on like comic book shit and superhero shit because of that movie. So it's probably created a generation of fans. We probably the next fucking Dwayne McDuffie might have been in the theater watching that movie, learning and getting falling in love with the music. So it's immeasurable. This movie, I don't feel it's going to get a proper evaluation because it's a tribute movie to Chadwick Boseman. This person who died, not just the character, but the person who died. And so I do think in the movie it's doing numbers. So I'm fascinated at what a potential Black Panther 3 will be because it will be separated enough distance time from the first movie where it's no longer that cultural impact. It'll be distant enough to where we no longer have the mourning of Chadwick Boseman in the immediacy. And what is that movie going to be like on its own without any of that surrounding energy around it? I'm fascinated on what that
Jamel,
potentially
why don't you go
will
ahead and
be.
give us an elevator pitch on what you think Black Panther 3 should be?
It's tough. I think that depending on how long it comes out, again, I think they should lean into the multiverse and variant shit. And I think we should get the introduction of a new T'Challa. Not just a new T'Challa. I think by this time we'll have X-Men and mutants fully integrated into Marvel. I think we should meet Storm. I
Okay,
think T'Challa
wait.
from alternate. Damn,
Mm.
I'm flowing. I think T'Challa from an alternate Earth should come into mainline MCU, and I think more or less he is coming from this Earth, similar to how Miles Morales was in the comics, where he would come over from the alternate universe and the main universe, and there's kind of a convergence of the universes, kind of the multiverse is collapsing a bit. And this T'Challa becomes main T'Challa, and he meets and falls in love with Storm, who is a Wakandan, and her mutant power kicks in during the movie. Something like that. Like it again, it's late. My
I'm
head
writing
hurt a
a
little
ticket
bit,
right now, bruh. That sounds kind of
but
dope.
yeah, I
Jason,
think
what you
something like that. History, what you got?
got? Oh yeah, history. What you got?
Wakanda got
You was
mutants,
on.
man.
You was on something.
Wakanda got mutants. I don't understand why we didn't fucking introduce them. We got.
No.
I think the elevator pitch should be hands down. You introduce Namor and his mutants of people. Why don't you introduce Wakanda's mutants of people? You cannot tell me that you have a whole city who's been introduced to this substance and has consumed this substance, because you can't say that those markets are getting their food from outside of Wakanda's doors, right? That shit has to be inside of there. Why do we not have mutants? We have mutated people, and they have two normal fucking normal ass people, and that's autism. That could be a lot of fucking Down syndrome, a lot of shit, right? And name more people. They drink the fucking shit. They become the children, offspring of it, and now they breathe underwater. They live under high pressure items and everything like that. And one of the things that I was thinking about the whole fucking time, and I didn't think about it until you just fucking brought that shit up, bro, about the elevator pitch. There's no reason why you was looking for people to help, why you didn't bring in like Marvel's superhero, which is gentle, which he has super strength. Um, there's other people who have mutations because of the vibranium inside of Wakanda as well. You should have had introduced the mutants. That is definitely, I feel like, is a lost part in the movie as well. It,
Got another thing that I want to do before we wrap things up. So keep going. Come
no,
on with
going into what even
something else
JT
that's
said. JT said about like about I mean you said about like Storm, and JT said about Storm. Like that could have been a perfect moment to introduce Storm and shit like that. But I do think that this movie is hinting towards Doctor Doom. And that's not because of the fact of like anything that they showed as Doctor Doom. It's because of the fact of Anika and Okoye's Midnight Angels characters. Those characters were designed to actually fight against Doctor Doom with the Avengers as well. And that is definitely a part that was really cool. We got to see these new characters being sort of Black Panther ish characters, but that would definitely be. I would fucking fix that, man. Fix that situation now. Wakanda has and Africa has a plethora of fucking mutants. Introduce these goddamn mutants now.
so, last thing before we kind of wrap things up for the week. Wakanda Forever is officially the end of Marvel's Phase 4. We've gotten the movies, we've gotten TV shows.
God.
In my opinion, it's easily this and Spider-Man No Way Home are easily the two best, and for different reasons, but I believe they're the two best. So, where do you guys see the MCU at? Like, kind of where it's at, including Wakanda Forever. What do you think, just overall, like a one sentence thought on where the MCU is heading? So, JT, go ahead. One sentence thought on where the MCU is going.
Boring town, population, dollar bills, y'all. I think we're gonna keep getting more mediocre shit, and I think it's gonna keep making a fuck ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
History?
very
Oh,
pessimistic
sorry.
at this point in time. I don't think that Marvel gives a shit about. I don't think that Disney cares about the motivation, the inspiration that superheroes are supposed to give. And that's one of the reasons why all these other directors hate on the movies. Is because they're like, hey, that ain't no shit. You're not really diving into what makes a hero a hero. We really haven't seen that. The best we got is Spider-Man. But even his bitch ass is like, all right, everybody's gonna forget about me. That was his fix. He's supposed to be a genius, and that was the best he got. So whatever Marvel does, I just want them to really make you should make me want to be a superhero. I watched Black Panther leaving that mug like I wasn't thinking I wanted to be Black Panther. I wasn't thinking if I was a kid, I'd be like, open up my pretty rings. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's the feeling that I want. And I'm not getting it from Disney, and I've never got it from Disney. And I don't think they're capable of doing it at this point. So I think we're going to keep getting a bunch of run of the mill shit. And hopefully, Quantum Mania will be interesting. We'll see.
I don't think it's gonna be interesting, man.
History, what's your one sentence reaction or your one sentence kind of underline on the Marvel Cinematic Universe phase number 4 since we're at its end?
You're starting to get boring, bro. You're starting to get
See?
boring. After this movie, I really felt like it was a very heavy movie. I don't think that anybody should have really walked in thinking that this was going to be a jam-packed, action-packed movie. The trailers itself basically told you that this is going to be a sad-ass fucking movie. And we need to be okay with the idea that this was designed to be a fucking sad-ass movie. Um, I do think though it's starting to kind of get exhausting with how much content is there. And I don't know if I'm ready because I noticed that we just talked about Shitty, we talked about Namor, we didn't even talk about fucking Ross in this damn movie. I completely forgot Evers Ross was in this movie for a while. And the fact that his wife is possibly a Skrull, that's a whole goddamn another thing, man. It's it's a lot of shit that we just inside of this movie that definitely makes you kind of be like, bro, it's this is we need to take a little break. So I think that MCU needs to take about a year break, or maybe even a year and a half, 2 years break. Have a come to Jesus conversation with themselves, more specifically Kevin Feige, and figure out what content that he wants to put out. I don't think that we need to be forced into a Thunderbolts very first impact from Phase 5 at all. So you're getting boring. You're getting boring, bro.
One, two. I got two. One, without the emotion, Black Panther and Black Adam, similar movie. For the MCU Phase 4, well, that shit's over. Like, that's honestly how I feel about the Phase 4. It's over. Spider-Man Far From Home, or No Way Home, I should say. I'm gonna rewatch that. That's a fun movie. I, I don't see myself going back to much from this phase. I don't have. There's zero reason why I want to watch Thor: Love and Thunder ever again.
I
There's no
agree.
reason for me to watch Eternals. There's no reason for me to watch Multiverse of Madness. There's so
Agree.
much of this is just I'm gonna watch this once and then it's over. And I think that as time goes on, that's kind of a larger outlook on the MCU as a whole, where it's one and done. You see it in the theater, you maybe rewatch it once or twice, but that's about it. And I think that for the true longevity and the true measure of if a movie becomes a classic is this rewatchable? don't see anything in Phase Four besides Spider-Man that is rewatchable. But that is going to do it for our review. I'm going to turn the hosting duties back over to history to bring us on home.
Um, yeah, I appreciate it, man. So that is our review for Black Panther. I think that we even it out. We all say it's an edger. Tomorrow I am gonna do the episode again. Hopefully we can fit everybody in here. We're supposed to have 3 guests that's possibly on here, and that's by
That's a
intentional, man.
group of people.
3 people, man. So we have 2 Jose's, and then we have an actual Mr.
Jose and Hoseby.
Jose Rodriguez, Jose Candido, and then
Hey, and Hose B.
huh?
Jose and Hose B.
You
Oh,
didn't get that joke.
oh yeah, I
You
get.
didn't catch that.
I didn't catch that. And then we do have another person that's like supposed to be inside of the actual show. I really wanted to get some different perspectives on it because when I was sitting there, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. There was the more and more I talk about it, I think I'm getting excited about the production aspect of it and the history, culture behind it. But my wife and my
Worth getting excited about. It was dope.
yeah, but even though my wife, I ain't gonna lie to you, I wish that we will go back to streaming simultaneously with being released in theaters setups because my God, man, I do not like going to a theater.
It's over with. You got to deal with it.
Bruh, fuck, no. My wife, we had a person in there,
Oh,
man.
just really quickly, public service and public health announcement. Go get your boosters for COVID, and also it's flu season. All I heard throughout the entirety of COVID was, well, it's not as bad as the flu, and the flu kills X amount of people every year, which leads me to believe we don't put enough respect on the flu's name. Uh,
Yeah,
get healthy, stay healthy, and take care of yourself.
yeah.
History.
Um, but there was a lady that was just sitting there. She would be like like crying in the middle of the scene, and this is a white girl. And then she said about how
Oh,
ugly the
she was
people.
faking.
Yeah, she was faking as fuck. Um,
That is some virtue signaling shit.
yeah,
Oh my God. Let me see the like yeah, you dark and she saw you and your wife is Latina and she's just like, ooh,
yeah,
I gotta show that I really care.
yeah. I my daughter seemed interesting. My son and my daughter actually sat there and watched the movie. My son actually regurgitated some of the parts of the movie, which my son doesn't usually do. So it had some fucking impact. And then right behind there was a little girl. She had to be like 6 or 7 years old, and she was so excited about when she saw Riri. She was so excited when she saw Shirley turn into Black Panther. So I could tell that movie meant fucking something different for those people. I could tell that the movie meant something totally different for my wife because my wife was excited about the movie. So I could tell that movie's different. I just don't know if I would have called it fucking Wakanda Forever because it didn't take
Didn't
place
feel
in
like they did.
It didn't take place in Wakanda.
So, well, hold on now. Let's talk about that for one quick second. You know what I'm saying? Kwanzaa coming up, and one of them things is umojo,
Yeah,
and that's unity. And like the
Umoja.
whole thing about Wakanda Forever made me think that they were going to delve into Wakanda and the people they're in and a whole bunch of other stuff. I didn't get a lot of that, and I was disappointed with that because I wanted to think like I can imagine Angela Bassett talking to Shuri, talking about how like mother, how do you rule? You know, and her saying like, "We are Wakanda, Wakanda forever." You know what I'm saying? Like that, just that one phrase like snapped in my mind, and I was like, they didn't bring the unity, they didn't bring the oneness that Wakanda is supposed to have. You know, like the ideal. It's I know it's on some Pan African tip, but like Wakanda would be the place to demonstrate that. You know what I'm saying? That was a lost opportunity. It wasn't Wakanda forever. That shit was just Black Panther 2.
Nah, I'm
To be
gonna
honest with you, I'm with you because the one thing that we haven't really gotten is a lot of what people dealt with during the blip, the snap. How did Wakanda deal with that? Like
that's
I
what
would
it was
have
supposed to
like
be.
how did they
That was the original
like no,
script.
like I think how much I think they could have incorporated that a little bit into this because it's like not only did we lose our king during the blip, we've now permanently lost him and how how they reacted to, like, we didn't get enough. I don't think we got enough Wakanda. I like what we got, but it wasn't enough. And I think it should have been more. I think that it could have been a whole lot more. I think if she, like, honestly, I feel like when in Thor Ragnarok, where Odin told him that Asgard is a people, not a place. She could, like, that easily could have been something that Queen Ramonda could have imparted into Shuri. Like, Wakanda isn't the land that you're standing on. It's the family that you have. It's the people that you have. It's our culture. It's
The
Well,
land they're standing
she
on
did.
got the meteor.
She did say that, but she said it to the wrong person. She said it to Nakia when she went to go to Haiti. So she said it to the wrong person in that context. So because she said that, like, and that's something that I think that, like, even people from New Orleans, they say that, man, no matter where you go, you still New Orleans in the soul, no matter what. And I think that that's like that's what she told Nakia when Nakia was going to Haiti and stuff like that. So I think that was been a thing, but I think that also, if we really was gonna do this this pandering, I guess, into the fandom, I think we should have also did Chadwick Boseman in the background saying Wakanda forever when they actually was flying with Namor, and Shuri was flying on the actual ship to the actual ship in the ocean. You could have had them say Wakanda forever, and then you had the people that was on the boat Wakanda forever, because you had Namor do that with his people. It should have been a kind of unity kind of aspect of it. That's
I like that look. I like that look.
Yeah, Iki Kolakan, something like
Look,
that.
a
Everybody
little bit
pulling
like
up
this.
Kamehameha.
Man.
Yeah, yeah. It's called the Iki Kolokan. That's what it is.
Kukulkan.
Kukolokan. Yeah, and it's supposed to be a sign of power. The oyster shell open. It's a sign of power for kings and gods. So that's why I was saying
I think we
done.
can put a button on the movie. I think we can put a button on it.
We could
Yeah,
definitely do
this
that.
is good. We were all fair to the movie. Like, I think, honestly, JT, and this isn't anything against you, I thought you were gonna go a little bit harder. I'm surprised you liked the movie as much as you did, because it
50%
knowing your
slumper?
temperament,
50%
knowing
slumper?
the temperament that you have with a lot of stuff. And I'm surprised you gave it 50. I thought you were at least gonna go 60.
Doug, I got a low tolerance for bullshit. That's the problem. And so what we got in this movie wasn't bullshit. It was just irrelevant shit. Riri was irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? Like, Atlanta was cool. We didn't need to go down there. He could have. We didn't have to go down there all. He could have brought them to be like, I have a whole city down here full of millions of souls, and I'm not giving them up. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's 500 million people down here. There's 500 million Atlanteans. We will rise up in this motherfucker and wreck your whole shit. But we didn't get none of that. Right.
I got one more fucking point, dog. I gotta fucking hit this too. I thought Namor was gonna get killed at the end, dog.
So when Shuri was talking to Killmonger and he was like, "Are you gonna go fuck some shit up like I did?" And she was like, "Yes, I am going to fuck shit up too."
Not by Shuri. Not by
She
Shuri.
go talk to Killmonger and then she goes and does not kill the guy like Killmonger would.
Not by Killmonger. Not by Shuri. I thought he was gonna get killed by Namora at the very fucking end, and I thought that's the way that.
Oh, his sister. That is sister or his girlfriend, or
it's like his general. It's just like his general.
Like his mama reincarnated. But yeah, I thought she was gonna do him in too. Be like, you're not strong.
Which would have made sense.
Which
would have made sense that we would have had Namora versus Shuri.
Versus Shuri, yeah.
Yeah.
But that would have raised that. You know what that would have raised up? The Manosphere niggas who just like they're trying to erase all men. Oh, of course they have the woman kill a man.
We can have a movie without dudes, you know. But like this one, I'll be honest with y'all. This movie felt like a movie for the lesbians, a movie for the Latin folk, and it really was just like, and we're pimping Black Panther's name out to everyone to check a bunch of boxes. Kind of felt like that.
I don't feel like that as much, but I will say
10%, 5 to 10%. That's how I felt.
Okay.
It's weird that they had that one Dora Milaje gay couple, and it was just once again it's Disney.
It was glossed over so quickly.
It's glossing over. Like, if you don't have it, dude, like, I'm tired of that.
Signaling. That's what the fuck
if
that
is. If you are gonna have a gay couple in the movie, have them be a couple in the movie. That's my problem. I got no
Right.
issue with two niggas kissing or two women who what you do, who you stick the thing in or lick or whatever, that's on you. Who you love, that's on you. But if you are these movie companies, these executives, and you are going to have and portray these people, portray them as fully fledged out characters in human. Don't have them be window dressing. Just be like, see, we checked the box. See,
On
we
that
got a
Star
gay
Wars
couple.
shit.
That shit gets on my nerves.
They did the same shit in Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? And like it's not it doesn't if it doesn't matter, in my opinion, you leave that gay stuff out. Because unless you're going to tell people and you know like we have had to have a life that's different, it's not even relevant to the movie. All you're doing is virtue signaling. Oh, and we had a gay couple in there, right? Yeah, we did good, didn't we? That's bullshit. All it is
It's
just trying to be like, hey guys, we threw you a bone. You owe us now, right? Come watch the film. A gay couple in
don't
the
pay
back.
attention. Yeah, don't pay
Right.
attention to us donating to politicians and causes that are against LGBTQ rights. Pay attention to the fact that in just a little bit of Thor Ragnarok, ooh, Korg said that he's got a husband. Ooh, Valkyrie, she kissed a girl's hand. That means she's gay. Ooh, we've got this gay couple in the background of Wakanda Forever. It's like, nah, you don't do it. Do it. Like, go in on the shit. That's what gets on my nerves. It's like,
But
dog,
It's
then
pandering.
you have people
And
who are like Lil Duval who are sitting there saying pause or freaking out about P Valley when they had a whole fucking like gay sex scene in a couple of them.
and to that I said, it's what like when y'all were saying, hey, fuck that. When people were talking about the men shit, nigga, you can watch a movie or some you,
You can watch
nigga.
that
If
shit.
you that homophobic, don't and you know it's there, don't watch. You don't have to watch. You don't have to engage with it. Instead, you being homophobic for no reason, you are going out of your way to watch something that you know has content that you don't like, that you don't agree with, that you
trigger you.
because you don't
Yeah,
that you know is gonna get you mad and trigger you. You
yeah.
doing that on purpose. That's virtue signaling too. But that's signaling a different type of virtue.
They had a
That all that shit gets on my nerves. It's
yeah,
like, dog, grow the fuck up.
yeah.
You know, at the
That's
end
all
of
I'm
the
saying.
day, you don't have to watch everything. That is what I learned watching DC Legends of Tomorrow. I said, fuck this shit. This is whack. I'm done. I straight washed my hands of it. And that led to a whole slew of me saying, fuck watching the rest of this bullshit too. If it ain't good, I'm not watching it. If it ain't
Sure.
well acted, I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
If it takes me out of the freaking time that they made this movie in because they can't do it right because they don't know history, I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't want Disney to do the same thing, but I know they're gonna do it because it's
They
friggin' Disney,
always do the same. That's the thing. They always do it. They've been doing it.
Yeah.
and it's not gonna
It's
get no
virtue
better.
signaling. It's virtue signaling, and I hate that. I think it because you're not doing any favors to gay community. Like these people, like I'm gonna say this: representation and shit like that matters. Like damn, like they deserve to have like portrayal, like good portrayals of themselves on TV too, just like we do. I
But
fucking hate
the
going back
reason,
and watching old movies where you had shitty ass portrayals of black people. That shit shouldn't be accepted. But if you gonna have us in the movie, have us in the movie. If you don't have these people in the movie, I'm in. Otherwise, you can keep them all white. Because I don't want to get pandered to, and I don't think anybody with any sense wants to get pandered to over your bullshit. Like stop. Like
let's
be
talk
better.
about representation for 2 seconds though. It's not representation just to show somebody in the movie and say, oh, they're gay. They're like America Chavez, was she wearing a little rainbow pin or some shit? Like
Because their
that's it.
moms are lesbians, and that
Right.
added
But
nothing to her story. And because we don't
no,
know her
nothing at
who
all
her
to her
moms are.
story. And having two moms didn't even add shit to her story. You know what I'm saying? It was just a scene with two ladies who were like, and we raised this child. And like at the end of the day, what I think what we need to understand, what we need to critique is this a true representation? Because when you say representation, but it's not a real represent, it does not actually reflect what these people got to go through on a daily. Then can you really call it representation? No, it's just tokenism. So unless you have some of the hurdles of being black and you include that in the movie with black people, unless you have some of the hurdles of being gay and you include that in the movie, how about Shuri got curved on campus trying to holler at a girl and she shut that shit down real hard. Excuse me? You know what I mean? Like, and just kept it moving. Like that to get rejected so frankly would have mattered. You know what I'm saying? And she'd be like, "Oh, well, I better tread lightly when I get to Riri over here." You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it could have impacted the movie a little bit. But if you don't have these things that actually are real or grounded in reality, it's simply tokenism.
I
Which,
I definitely agree with that, man. Um, I think that like representation definitely matters, and I think that that's like where I kind of we had this conversation a few weeks back where you said well about Chicago, and I was like, well, it kind of doesn't matter, and the reason why because of the fact that Marvel does not do good jobs when it comes to that, and as a person who is from New Orleans, I felt like Sam Wilson did not scream New Orleans. You did not see the second lines. You
no.
did not see bounce music. Obviously, those are stereotype stuff, but nothing screamed out the city of New Orleans out of Sam Wilson, you know. And even Gambit when he was in the fucking Wolverine movie in the middle of New Orleans, we didn't get an experience out of Gambit being from New Orleans, and
Because he
so,
wasn't
huh?
the
Which is
actor.
yeah.
I don't think he's from New
No, he's from
Orleans, y'all.
Canada. I want to say that he's from Canada.
Spoiler.
But
Yeah.
so I think that it doesn't matter. I think that most times we are looking for when it comes to representation, the like Denzel Washington said about this is one of those repeat clips I see all the time is the fact of like Martin Scorsese or Stephen King would never get the culture of having that flat iron hit the back of that neck and that cut the hot irons hitting the back of a neck and you could smell the that burn of the hair and the perm and stuff like that. You know, nobody would get that. You know what I mean? Nobody would get the intense stench of chitlins when you're about to make when a person's about to clean some chitlins to go make it. Nobody gets that unless you are a part of the culture. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Or for example, even a weird culture thing. Nobody gets it when they look at a black man and they say like, I would argue this part, shaving your beard, the fact of like the intense pain that you get after a while because of the fact that you got razor bumps and your face is hot. Like nobody gets that aspect of it. And so you need people who represent the culture more than you need the people who have a name in place that they are. Wakanda
This is Hollywood.
forever is
Hollywood don't know shit about these cultures
yeah,
because Hollywood is an autofallacious machine.
exactly. Yeah. We had a whole movie called Wakanda Forever, and I want to say maybe 30 minutes of it took place in Wakanda, and that's
And
including the funeral.
damn.
That's including the funeral. If you think about it, the major scenes, like what the M'Baku scene was 10 minutes, maybe. Then you mean you had the funeral, and already Ramonda was already going to go see the France for trying to impede on that area. Yeah, the UN for their shit. Nakia wasn't even in Wakanda. She was all the way in Haiti. And then they didn't even fight in Wakanda. They fought in the
Safest
Atlantic.
place to raise a child, Haiti.
You know, I apparently, I mean, I don't know. But we
You
could talk
must be
about
in the
this.
good part.
w-
Maybe Haiti in the MCU hasn't gone through the bullshit that Haiti and IRL has gone
Yeah,
through.
that's true.
So guys, I think
No, no, no,
that's
no.
I think that's
We
it for
ended it. We need to end this. With that, man, we usually end this with the actual voice of reason. We have JT the voice on here, man. Last time Jamel did such a fantastic job, man. Chef's kiss to the last voice of reason. So with that, man, we're gonna hit my man JT, give him this segment where we're supposed to be, and make sure you be back to well, if you're listening to this on this podcast, listen to part two. We're gonna have a couple of guests on to talk about the actual movie as well. But with that, man, let's go ahead. JT, what's the voice of reason for this week, man?
Today I want to talk to you about money. Money, my friends, I was always taught is a seed. You plant your money somewhere and you watch it grow. What you care about, people will say, you'll hear people say the phrase, put your money where your mouth is. So whatever you're trying to do, whatever you want to improve in your life, look at ways you can put money into it. It might be, that you can put money into training. It might be you could put money into buying better equipment. It might be you could put money into getting somebody else in to tell you how to use whatever you already better. But we know money is tight, but you need to put the money where you want to grow. Does that make sense, y'all? Put the money where you want to grow. Save your money, put it where you want to grow. Invest in yourself. Pay yourself first. Set 10% of your money aside in the saving. And put that money aside when you got enough, when you budgeted it out, put your money where your mouth is and watch it grow.